everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome to any of my new subscribers that I have picked up in the last couple weeks. I want today to do a really kind of brief recap of weeks 3 and 4 for my first semester of nursing school. Sorry I didn't come in and do one just for week 3. Understandably, I've been pretty busy the last couple weeks. We technically finished front loading, the first 2 weeks of school, but honestly, I feel like the last 2 weeks, weeks 3 and 4, have been busier. We've been at school less, but we have a lot more work to do. So I'm not really sure all this front loading business is about and why everyone's so scared about it. But honestly, right now we're really getting into it. So the big highlight from week 3 was we had our skilled nursing facility visit, and that was for me a very positive experience. I really enjoyed my time there. I got pretty lucky, I think, in that I had a really awesome CNA. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna have to do some editing because my son just came in and it was a hot mess. Anyway, week 3, skilled nursing facility. My CNA that I had, that I kind of got put with, we really didn't have very clear assignments that day, but I ended up with this CNA, and she was so nice, and she was so helpful. Maybe it was a little bit too nice to me. I was really nervous. I was very anxious about having to perform these skills that I supposedly already know that I've learned, but for the first time actually on a patient, and I was very nervous about that. But for the most part, I really got to kind of just be a shadow. I kind of got to just be on the side and watch her do most of everything, and I got to help where I saw fit, or where, she needed an extra pair of hands, I was there. But she never abandoned me anywhere. She never was like, oh, so-and-so needs a shower, bye. She was there the whole time. She did her job, and then I got to help. And so it was a really good experience for me, honestly. I really appreciate how much work a CNA does on a regular basis. Just being there, I was amazed at her organizational skills and how she knew so much about each of the residents that she dealt with, and she knew the schedule of when so-and-so needed to take a shower, when so-and-so needed to get their breakfast, and when everybody was done, and she was able to fit in other things when there were problems that came about. She was just so organized. And it was funny because she was basically telling me she's trying to get into a bachelor nursing program. She wants to become an RN. And she's like, oh, so I'm jealous of you guys. You guys are here and you're, in a bachelor program. And I'm like, I'm jealous of you because you're actually here and getting real practical experience. That's something I really wish I would have had coming into the program, is maybe you've had some background with being a CNA or something like that. Just so I can maybe feel a little bit more comfortable, because that is something I'm very nervous about still, is just dealing with patients one-on-one, because I just haven't ever had. I've obviously had all of my prerequisites in terms of anatomy and physiology and microbiology, but I have no real practical knowledge or experience. So it was really cool to kind of see how their day works. I met some really amazing people as far as the residents who were there, just real positive. There was one particular resident, she had the most positive attitude on life of anyone I've ever met. And she was 92. She had every reason to not have a positive attitude, to be honest. All the residents who were there, most of them were immobile. They had to use wheelchairs or had to be lifted out of bed to use the restroom. Or they could walk very, very minimally. They spent most of their time in bed unless they got into a wheelchair and decided to wheel themselves around. And, some of them are more mobile than others, but they obviously have several different ailments that are bothering them that they're dealing with. But she was just so positive. She was so happy and full of life. She told me that she used to be an LVN, and so she let me feel her hernia, because she was like, oh, do you want to feel my hernia? And I was like, okay. And she was just so happy to help, and that we were students, and she wanted to teach us stuff. And honestly, it was such a good experience for me. I I don't know, I can see where some people wouldn't enjoy working with geriatric patients or people in a nursing home. Being a mom of children, I don't want to, I mean, it sounds like kind of bad to say that it's similar to dealing with children, but it is, in the sense that you really have to help a lot with their activities of daily living. You know, you're helping them bathe, you're helping them get dressed, you're helping them change, you're helping them get their food and eat. Some of them you have to actually feed because they have dysphagia. And so it's very similar. It really didn't feel that much of a difference for me to go from taking care of my kids to helping to take care of the activities of daily living for these elderly patients. So it was an awesome experience. Like I said, I kind of wish we could do a little bit more, to be honest. Like I said, I kind of wish I would have maybe, looking in hindsight, I kind of wish I maybe would have done some kind of CNA work before this so I could get a feel of things and how it was working. But yeah. That was really the highlight of week 3. Week 4, which is what we're in now. I don't know. My mind's all over the place right now because we have our first midterm coming up next week. Next Monday is our first midterm for my med-surg class. So everyone's freaking out about it. We're all helping each other, which is good. We have a Facebook group for like all of our people in our cohort. And so anytime someone makes like a study guide or someone gets a study guide from like a mentor, they post it and they share it. So I have a feed of all these study guides for the midterm, and it's a little overwhelming, if anything. It's helpful, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, for me it's just a little bit overwhelming right now. But basically any free time I'm having right now, except for right now, I am trying to study for this midterm because I'm a little bit nervous about it. We've been focusing a lot on respiratory, oxygenation, learning about the different types of masks like nasal cannulas or non-rebreathers or partial rebreathers, Venturi masks, how much oxygen they deliver, when you would use what. We've been learning about COPD and asthma and bronchitis and emphysema and how those affect the respiratory system, how to do respiratory assessment. We also learned how to do a head-to-toe assessment. We're going to be doing our check-off for head-to-toe assessments next week also. So we have our midterm next week, and then we have our head-to-toe assessment check-off, which I'm a little bit less worried about than I was my vital signs. Maybe because we're going to actually use like a dummy or like a mannequin instead of an actual person. Yeah, I don't know. I still feel like it's so weird to have to do a checkoff with a real person where there's so many uncontrolled variables. If you watch my last video, or my video where I talk about where my checkoff for my vital signs, how that went, you'll see like there's so many variables that can happen, and if you don't have an understanding evaluator, it's not fair, you know, because so many things can go wrong, and in a real life setting you can always recheck someone's pulse. It's not the end of the world, you know, but the way they were treating it for some people, it was the end of the world. And obviously they got a chance to recheck, and as far as I know, everybody who didn't pass the first time passed the second time, so that's good. But it's still just something, I don't know, kind of an unnecessary stress in my opinion. I think we need to get checked off on it, but I don't know. Maybe make it in a way that's a little bit more objective and not so subjective. But the head-to-toe assessment is still objective, but we're going to be doing it on a mannequin. And, you know, I don't have to get values or anything. I have to just do an assessment. Okay. Sorry, again, I'm going to have to do some creative editing right now. What was I saying? I was talking about head-to-toe assessments. So, you know, it's really more like a script that we have to remember all the things that I need to remember to check on a head-to-toe assessment for my checkoffs. So I'm not as worried about it. Of course, I don't want to miss anything small that I could just slip my mind, but I think if I practice enough, it should be fine. Another big thing we had happen last week was which I guess was week 4, was last week, was our white coat ceremony, which I never really knew was a thing until I joined nursing school. I'm not sure if every program does it or if they do some kind of variation. Basically, what it sounds like is back in the day, it used to be a common thing. They would have like a capping ceremony. So when nurses used to wear caps, when you first started your nursing program, you would get your cap. And then every semester you would get a different color stripe designating like, oh, okay, I'm this semester, I'm this year in my program or whatever. And now they don't do caps anymore, obviously. I don't know, maybe some places they do, but I think for the most part, nurses don't wear caps. But now we have white coats. And so at my school, we have a white coat ceremony, which is supposed to basically be like a capping ceremony. So we got to go in. This was earlier this week then. I'm so confused on those days. I'm so sorry. Yeah, today is Wednesday. This was Monday night this week. And we got to invite our family. And they had it at the Alumni Center at our school. And it was nice. It was a nice ceremony. They had a keynote speaker. They had like our faculty say some stuff about, you know, sorry you're not going to see your son, daughter, husband, wife for a while. They're really busy, but it's going to be worth it, kind of a thing. And then they served everybody cake. And we walked up with our coats. We had all of our, our lab coats with our school embroidered on it. We weren't allowed to wear them yet, not until the ceremony. So once we did the ceremony, we walked up, they said our name, they put the coat on us, and then we had to sign like a little pledge. And that's going to be hung up in the lab area for the entirety of our time that we're there for school. And then they took a big group picture of all of us in our coats, and we had to like recite this pledge, basically just saying that we're going to honor the profession of nursing to the best of our ability, kind of a thing. So it's a little bit corny, but honestly it was really nice. It was sweet. I invited my mother-in-law. She's actually a nurse. She's kind of like my unofficial mentor. She's always been pushing me to try to be, saying you should look into nursing for as long as I've known her, which has been like 16 years now almost. And I was just like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And I finally came around, like, I do want to do that. And so now she's right there, but she just retired. But I thought it would be nice to invite her to that. And it was a nice ceremony. But yeah, that was the biggest thing that happened earlier. I want to keep this video as short as I can, so I'm going to try to get through the next part, which is just today, Wednesday morning, we had our clinical orientation. So we're going to be starting our hospital clinical rotations next week. Luckily, like I said, we had our orientation today, but really it was mostly just getting oriented with the software for the electronic medical record that the hospital that we're going to uses, how to access it, how to, find the different information on there we're going to need to find out. For our clinicals, they're basically going to have us go in the day before our clinical day. We're working on the med surg, we're working in either orthopedics, or there's a vascular GI unit that will be split between. And we will basically go in the hospital the day before our clinical day and do a prep. And so the charge nurse will have a list of patients, of possible patients we could pick, ones that are going to be there the next day, and we need to do a full prep write-up on them. And then the next day we'll go in and actually work with the nurse who is their official nurse, the patient that we picked, and help take care of their care for the day, help take care of them for the day. So like today we went over the software, and then after that we went actually to the hospital and did a little quick tour. We got to meet our clinical instructor, which our clinical instructor, I feel like he's gonna be he's perfect for like first semester clinicals, because he's not, I don't want to say he's easy, he's very nice. I've heard people tell me he's easy, but that's not the word I want to use. Again, I don't know, because he hasn't actually graded anything of mine, but he seems like he'll be a good instructor. He's not just going to give you easy A's to get you through. He wants you to learn, but he's very approachable, and he's nice, and he's not intimidating. He said, I don't want to cause you any unnecessary stress. I'm not trying to give you busy work. You're going to be stressed enough. I'm not trying to make your life more stressful. And I appreciate that attitude so much, because for real, there's so much stress involved in nursing school, or school in general. I don't care what you're going to school for. It's stressful. And the last thing you need is a professor or someone who almost feels like they're working against you, who almost feels like they're trying to make it as difficult as possible for you, and they don't actually want to help. And he seems like he genuinely wants to help. So that's really exciting. Like I said, he works at the hospital that we're going to be at. He's worked there for years, so he's very familiar with the layout of the hospital, with people who work there. So I'm very excited about that, to be able to have his expertise in that particular hospital. Yeah, he seems awesome, and I'm excited for clinicals. Next week we're going to actually shadow a nurse. We're not going to have to do any kind of prep, and we're not going to like pick out an individual patient. We're just going to do shadowing. I think actually we're kind of doing that for the first couple weeks. We aren't having to do a full on like real clinical day, but then eventually it'll work into where we do clinical prep and then go in the next day and do our full clinical day. And it'll go, I think, from 6 hours to 8 hours depending on the day. And this semester they also have us following a home health nurse for one of our clinical days, which I think will be really exciting. And then we also have a day where we're going to be in the same day surgery area of the hospital. So I'm really excited for that. OR is something I feel like, not having any personal experience with it, I mean, besides I had a C-section, so I mean, personally, I have been in the OR, but I mean, actually doing any kind of surgery or being there for anybody else's surgery, I think it'd be really cool. I'm really excited for that. So, yeah, that's pretty much been the last couple weeks. Like I said, it's been kind of a whirlwind. I'm really trying to get a handle on things. I'm a little bit overwhelmed with the idea of a midterm next week. I've been trying my best to study when I can, but I really haven't sat down and had some real good study time. It's hard with kids, guys. It's really hard. I'm tired. I'm tired a lot, and then I come home and I have to help with the kids, and you know, my husband works too, so he's not home necessarily when I come home, and so, you know, plus I want to see him. I don't want to just be locked in the office or, you know, at the library all the time. So I'm trying my best. I'll try to get on here next week. Maybe I'll do it after I've had my midterm. Maybe after I've had my midterm and my check off and the first like shadow day in the hospital, so I can have a couple things to talk to you guys about. Like I've said, like always, please let me know in the comments if you have any kind of suggestions for videos or anything you want to see in particular. Right now everyone seems kind of interested in just kind of what's happening in the semester. So I know someone did request a video kind of saying like how I manage being a mom and a wife and being in nursing school. I don't know the answer to that yet. I don't know if I really manage that. I mean, I'm doing it. I can't say I'm doing it particularly well, but maybe kind of towards the end of the semester, if I get some kind of rhythm with things, I can maybe share some tips if I come up with any, with what works for us. Right now, I can tell you my biggest tip is not to worry so much about how your house looks all the time. Because if I did, then I would be losing my mind. But, you know, you do what you can. So anyway, please subscribe to my video or my channel if you're interested in these kinds of videos. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, if you found it useful or entertaining. Otherwise, I will see you guys next week. Bye!